Pixel 9 and Pixel 10 phones have the speakerphone issue that many people are complaining about, but Google says it's not going to fix, which, isn't going over well with Pixel fans. In related news, the Pixel 10 series is selling incredibly well here in the US, even setting some new records for Google. And finally, T-Mobile is now offering a free perk that literally anyone in the US can get, even if you're not a T-Mobile subscriber. I'm C. Scott Brown, and it's time for a quick roundup of the biggest tech news that you need to know about. Pixel users have been up in arms about a speakerphone bug that's affecting their phones. The bug is really simple. When you're on a call, you hit the speakerphone button. Naturally, you would expect the phone to instantly go into speakerphone mode, but instead, it has a significant delay before it makes the switch. Sometimes it's 1 second, sometimes it's 5, and in extreme cases, the switch doesn't happen at all, making the button useless. People have found workarounds. One user found that if you hit the speakerphone button and then turn the volume up or down, it switches to speaker faster. Other users have found that rolling back to an earlier version of the Google Phone app also makes the problem go away. Unfortunately, the real story here is not that the bug exists, because clearly it does, so many people are talking about it, but that Google is seemingly not doing anything about it, at least not yet. Over on the official Android issue tracker, there are multiple bug reports related to the problem, along with comments from people facing it themselves. However, for some reason, Google is rejecting those bug reports, citing that there isn't enough information in them. The exact message is here. We're closing this issue due to not having enough actionable information. If you continue to have this issue, please file a new issue and add the relevant information along with a reference link to the earlier issue. So yeah, as of now, it seems like Google has no intention to fix this. This is wild because the issue itself is easy to replicate. I have a Pixel 10 Pro, and when I hit the speakerphone button, there is a considerable delay. It's not the 5-second delay some people are reporting, but it's very clear there's a delay between when I hit the button and when the speakerphone actually turns on. I'm not really sure what else to show you, Google. I guess we'll just need to wait and see if this actually gets fixed at some point. In the meantime, Android Authority is running a poll about this. If you are experiencing this bug on your Pixel, be sure to head over there to vote. Maybe, if we get enough numbers in, Google will address the issue. I've left a link to the article with the poll in it down below. Also, while you're down in the description of this video, don't forget to check out the links to our other channels. There's our new podcast hosted by the amazing Michelle Rahman, as well as our secondary channel where we post leaks and other information. There's also my solo channel, which focuses on Pixel stuff. Be sure to check them all out. Anyway, I've got some other news about Pixels, which is that they seem to be selling like hotcakes here in the United States. Google doesn't typically release sales numbers for its smartphones, but third-party data firm Counterpoint Analytics was able to deduce some numbers based on industry info. Counterpoint suggests that September 2025 was the best month ever for Pixel sales in the US, which included a 28% jump year over year when compared to the Pixel 9 series. What's more is that the company carved out a considerable slice of the premium market. Google's market share in the category of phones that cost $600 or more was basically nothing last year, and now it's at 6%. Granted, 6% is pretty small, but remember that the smartphone market overall is shrinking, so Google showing this kind of explosive growth is pretty impressive. So the question now is, why is this happening? What is driving these sales? Well, the Pixel 10 series are all good phones for one. They feature great designs, great software, and great AI features that actually make users' lives easier. However, Counterpoint mentions that Google has spent a ton on advertising this year, seemingly more than ever before. It might be that Pixels are selling well because Google is doing a better job of making people aware of them and also promoting what makes them good. I know people watching this are going to cringe when I talk about this, but let's quickly chat about the Jimmy Fallon launch event for the Pixel 10 series. I know this was a divisive event that most people in the Android fandom thought was awful, but normal people who don't visit YouTube channels based on tech or read sites like Android Authority, they loved it. As of right now, the Pixel 10 launch event has over 8 million views on YouTube, so plenty of people did like it. Those people are what are driving Pixel 10 sales, people who don't care much about the world of smartphones, but are in the mood to maybe try something new. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that it might seem like the Jimmy Fallon show was a terrible move by Google, but the sales numbers seem to suggest otherwise. But where does Google go from here? How does it keep Pixels in the spotlight and keep this momentum going between now and when the inevitable Pixel 11 series launches? Well, That remains to be seen, but for now, the numbers all suggest that the Pixel 10 series is a big hit. And hey, that's always good news for Android as a whole. Our final story today is something rare, a helpful, free feature that benefits everyone. T-Mobile announced this week that anyone, regardless of phone or carrier of choice, can use T-Mobile satellites to message with 911 emergency operators. So imagine you're out hiking in the woods. You have zero service, so your phone is basically in airplane mode. Suddenly, a bear jumps out of nowhere and scares the hell out of you, causing you to fall into a ditch and break your legs. Now, in this situation, if you have one of a very select group of smartphones, such as recent iPhones and Pixel phones, you can text emergency responders to come help you using the power of non-terrestrial networks, also known as satellites. If you don't have one of those phones, though, what do? Well, this year, T-Mobile rolled out satellite support for pretty much any phone that supports satellite connectivity. This is cool and all, but what if you don't use T-Mobile? That's where today's news comes in. T-Mobile has announced that anyone, regardless of their carrier of choice, can use T-Mobile satellites to message 911 responders in case of an emergency. In other words, if you have your cell phone plan with AT&T, you don't need to leave AT&T to get this service. It's free for anyone. The one very minor catch is that you need to activate this before you are attacked by that bear. It's easy to do though. First, visit T-Mobile's sign-up page, which looks like this. Fill out your info, follow the instructions, and your phone will have access to 911 emergency services anywhere in the US. I've left a link in the description if you want to sign up. The only limitation for this service is the same limitation that everyone faces with any satellite connectivity, which is that you'll need to have a clear view of the sky to connect with those satellites. So cave divers and scuba divers, you're out of luck. On top of 911, you can also text 988 for mental health services or 611 to talk with T-Mobile about any issues you might face. Of course, T-Mobile is obviously hoping that this will lead you to leave your current carrier and join T-Mobile instead. But hey, everyone being able to contact emergency services for free is a win-win for everyone as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, that's it for this roundup. If you want to dive deeper into these stories, be sure to check all the links down below. Remember to like and subscribe so you'll be notified as soon as the next roundup goes live. See you all soon.